Glad you presented it.
The test I'm about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
All right, attorney, call whichever witnesses you feel necessary, please.
I'm going to start with Jason, Alderman Kovac, just to sort of explain the special equipment that was used, at least for this particular tow. I was going to do it, but I figured it'd be better coming from the horse's mouth. Mr. Pahulski, I want to direct your attention to, I believe it's the picture of Exhibit 2. Are you familiar with that picture?
I am.
Now, this is a tow involving the individual who just testified's vehicle, Mr. Bikamoya's vehicle, and he contends as to, he has a contention on what special equipment was used in the towing of his vehicle. Could you identify for the committee what special equipment was used and why it had to be used?
In this particular case, the orange skate, they're actually called skates. They go underneath the drive wheels, so you limit the damage of dragging the vehicle on the drive wheels. In this situation, these skates were used.
Okay. Was there any fees charged as it relates to Mr. Bikameya's tow that was disallowed by law?
No.
Okay.
I have a question. Why do you know this picture is a picture of my vehicle? How can we tell if this was the same parking lot? Why can just be another random picture showing me the tire and this thing?
Mr. Bikameya, I'm going to let the Mr. Chair handle it.
Mr. Bikameya, just so you know, I normally don't, the applicant gets to ask you questions. We don't normally let witnesses ask questions, but you'll probably be happy to know that I pretty much have the same question you have, so I was planning some follow-ups, and if I don't, feel free to interrupt if I don't ask the questions you want to ask. But could you, Mr. Pahulski, could you explain why you had to use it in this case? Was it because of the position of the car, if it had been parked forward or backward? Why in this case did you need to use this particular equipment?
Yeah, I think at this point in time it also may be helpful to pull up a page from the packet you have. I believe it's also in as Exhibit 1. I think it should be part of it.
If you don't mind, if Mr. Pahulski can answer my question, and then if he wants to answer it by referring me to pictures, fine, but I feel like he could probably answer this verbally.
Can you?
It sounds like we've looked at this case closely.
Can you re-ask the question? I got interrupted a little bit.
What? I mean, this is a lot you told from. I guess let me start with this. You told from this lot, I assume pretty rarely. You have the contract.
We do.
How often do you need to do a special equipment when you tow from this lot?
How often? I couldn't answer.
What percentage of cars from this lot get the $300 charge instead of the $150?
Well, I mean, our overall percentage is less than, 75% of the cars we typically tow as part of the paperwork we submitted. So I can only give you an average, I guess, off of that, because I don't know.
Okay, so 75% of the car do charge a special charge or don't?
Do.
75%, so 3 out of every 4 cars you charge $300 instead of $150.
Correct. That's what it came out to be when we did the stats. Yes.
And then, in this lot, like, is it because of the way his front? You said the drag wheels. So was his front next to a fence? Is that why you had to drag? Explain to me why you had to use that equipment.
In this situation, I'm assuming the driver, because of the drive wheels, it's simpler to pull the vehicle up so you don't damage it. The same as going down when you unload.
So, because where the drive wheels were closer to your truck, is that why? And then you're worried that you'll damage the car if you drag a drive wheel? Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Yes, in this situation, correct.
All right. I mean, on its face, I appreciate the honesty, and I guess you have to be honest because you're submitting the paperwork now. 3 out of 4 cars being special, that's not the definition of special that makes any sense to anyone. You know, maybe if I had more experience towing, it would make sense to me, but I think it makes sense that I want to make more money when I'm towing. It doesn't make sense to me how a special case comes up 3 out of every 4 times.
Alderman Kovac, if I may just provide some,
Also,
shed some light on
my
this.
question, do you have some statistical significance of that specialty? What are the indicators of that special that you measure? How do you measure it? What's your significance level of measuring it? And saying that's actually special? Or do you just make it up because you have all the power to do what you want in your business?
Mr. Bicome, I think your question answers itself. I think they pretty much use this at any excuse they get. I think that's clear from the stats. I'll just give you the background that they used to use it pretty much every time. It was clear. We then passed a law saying you've got to turn in this paperwork when you do it. They've obeyed the law. They've turned in the paperwork, so that we now know that 3 out of every 4 tows is a special tow, which seems to me to be an abuse of the intent of the state law, but it's probably it's a loophole that we may have trouble getting around, frankly, because the state law does allow them to use special equipment, and they use it very enthusiastically for obvious reasons, because it allows them to charge you double.
Mike, why don't they use a flatbed, hook and chain, a weight lift? It says, the law says a flatbed, hook and chain, weight lift, bowl. Also, it says, or any other method. I don't know what the other methods are. They said what they can do. If this was done, what damage was going to be to my car? What damage was, if you've done this, what the law says, what damage is going to happen to my car?
Can you answer that question, Mr. Prohowski? What was you said you were worried about damaging the car. What kind of damage would result if you had done it without the special equipment?
Well, anytime you drag a vehicle, you tend to, the parking pin. Parking pin can get damaged. Manufacturer specs will tell you not to drag a vehicle up or down or across the surface while being in park. There's all type of different circumstances of why special equipment is used. We only use special equipment when it's needed.
Who defines this special equipment? Is it you or the state?
I was on mute. Mr. McComb, we really can't do this. I appreciate your frustration. As you can probably tell from my questions, I share your frustrations. But we can't just have, I appreciate that you sent them an email, I didn't respond, and this is your chance, but this is also a hearing where I'm currently filling in for chair, so we need to have some structure. I think you've made your point. I think they've made their point. I think that no reasonable person would watch this and not think they're abusing the system. I just want to ask Attorney McNally if he has an opinion about what could be a basis for adverse action.
At this point, what I've been hearing is frustration with the use of special equipment. However, I'm also hearing that it's documented, that paperwork is transmitted, and unfortunately, the applicant has the best idea of what the special equipment is for and when it's used. I guess at this point, I personally can't refute the need for special equipment. I understand the concern if it's 70% of the time or thereabouts. At this point, I feel like the questions have been answered to the best of the towing company's ability, and I just don't have knowledge of the industry to say whether it's correct or incorrect.
Another question for you on the equipment. The fact that there's a photograph, and forgive me, I didn't see the photograph when it was used, with the equipment next to the tire. Is there a reason that it's not a photograph of the equipment actually being used with the tire?
So,
and is it the practice of you all to take pictures of it adjacent to the car instead of actually being used on the car?
So it's not on the side of the tire, it's in front of the tire. Dragging up sometimes, and then when you tilt the bed down, they pop out because your transmission is trying to turn and they pop out. We could provide that type of video to you just so people further understand.
You talked in general, you showed us a general diagram of a parking lot that looked kind of similar to the Walgreens lot and how you might have to angle in. Do you actually have pictures of Mr. Bacome's car and the special equipment you used for his car specifically that you're presenting today?
Yes, I believe we presented Exhibit 2 into evidence.
With the
Can you
state,
put that up then, just because he did ask that in the chat, and I think he tried to ask it, and I cut him off.
And we
so I
gave a
just-
copy of that to Alderman Borkowski, too. He's got a
He
copy.
had it up on the screen, too.
yeah.
Oh, you had it on the screen before, can we do that? Okay.
For a very long time.
No, okay, could be, I just wasn't sure if it was his
Well,
copy.
actually, Alderman Kovac, you want to move that do a motion to move that into make that part of the record?
It's not currently part of the record?
No, it's not.
Okay, well, why don't you get it up on the screen, and who took this photo?
I could. Keith Brady, he's over here. He can lay some foundation. Otherwise, I could do a business record exception type soliloquy. But if you want a testimony from him.
No, not necessarily. This is from your business records. You'll represent, okay, so Alderman Cox moved to make this photo part of our record. Hearing no objections, it is. Can you explain this photo?
Yes.
This is Mr. Bacome, is this your card?
This is my vehicle, but the one that you showed with the yellow thing, I'm not sure if it's my car or not. The one with the yellow thing that they said was used to.
Oh, okay, that's right. So this is your card. He wants you to know, do you have a picture of the special equipment being used? Is this one his card?
Yeah, so there are
How
six
do
pictures in
I
this
know
packet.
that this is my car? Can this just be another random picture taken on the street?
I mean, that's a fair point. They're saying it's your card. Mr. Bacome, do you want me to swear in whoever took does it look like it's not your car, Mr. Bacome, or are you just not sure?
I'm not sure if it's my car. It doesn't look like it. Why didn't they take a
right.
video of a picture of the full vehicle?
At this point, I'm not going to make it to my other meeting anyway. Other people may want to go, though. But why don't you, Attorney Omagali, do you have the person who took this photo in the room?
Yes.
Why don't you swear, well, they're already sworn in, why don't,
Yes.
Can you bring them up to a microphone, have them introduce themselves and explain the photo, please?
Want to introduce yourself to the committee?
Keith Grady.
Name and address, please, or name and employment.
Name Keith Grady. I'm employed at Always Towing.
He's been sworn in. He's been sworn in. Okay.
Subcontractor, not an employee.
Mr. Chair, could we have some order, with this chiming in back and forth?
Yeah, no, I agree, but sometimes if you just ignore it, it's quicker. So anyway, go ahead.
All right. Mr. Grady, how long have you worked at Always?
About 8 years.
Item number 12, on 4/7/2019, officers observed a tow truck operating the 1600 block of South Farwell with no lights. They observed the same tow truck failed to stop at several stop signs. Officers stopped the truck and found it to be labeled as Always Towing. The driver, Keith Grady, stated he runs his own business, Keith's Towing LLC, and he just rents the truck from Always. A check revealed Grady does not have an RST license. He further stated he operates without lights to sneak around when he is picking up a vehicle. On 4/17/2019, an officer spoke with Michael Tarantino and Jason Pichowski via speakerphone regarding the 4/7/2019 incident. They state Grady was a contracted employee. The officers advised him that Grady had stated he was towing for his own company and not Always Towing, but he does not have an RST license. The officer advised them that per ordinance, they are responsible for any person driving their tow trucks. The officer then spoke with Grady and advised him he could not tow cars until he got an RST license.
All right. Were you working for Always on the night of December 11, 2021?
Yes.
Okay. And particularly, were you working around the 1428 East Brady Street area?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to show you what's been marked as Exhibit 2. It's on the screen. It's 6 pages. I have a physical copy here for you. And there are pictures. Are you familiar with Exhibit 2?
Yes.
All right. And are these pictures that you took on that date?
Yes.
All right. Is this a fair and accurate depiction of the pictures that you took around the times depicted on them? I'm going to show you the second page of Exhibit 2. Is that the same? Is that a picture of a portion of the vehicle depicted on the first page of Exhibit 2?
Yes.
Okay. And they were both taken on the same night.
Yes.
Okay. Is the third page? The third Is the third page, the third picture, is that a portion of the vehicle depicted on the front page of Exhibit 2?
Yes.
What about 3, 4? Let's go to the second picture. You were explaining how long the skate was that was used. Could you tell members of the committee how long it is?
The skate is about this long, so you can see a portion of it is up under the tire.
So a portion of the skates is actually under the tire
Yes,
that
it
we
was.
can't see.
Yes, it
so
was
it's not
used.
placed side by. It's not placed next to it, right?
No.
You just didn't take a picture, you know, and just.
Is it true that
Yes.
For fair's sake.
the
you
only
did that?
reason you need to use
All right,
these special skid
no
things
further
or slide
questions.
things
I don't know if that's
is
enough.
if you're using a flatbed truck, and if you brought a regular truck, it wouldn't have been necessary?
No, there's not all of it. Could you just answer?
No, it depends. It depends. I mean, if the truck, sometimes you have to use the skates when you have to drag a vehicle out. We always use skates.
On June 27th, our hidden cameras captured an always towing operator loading Ryan's car without the help of any special equipment, just a standard tow chain and a flatbed truck.
On a flatbed, when a flatbed is used all the time. When you drag a car up, you have to use skates. No question
So if
about
it is a flatbed, if it's a flatbed, you got to use the skates every time.
Yes, on the bed, not the wheel, under the bed. When you drag, anytime you drag a car, we use special equipment.
And how many of your trucks are flatbed versus regular?
I believe Mr. Prohoska would probably be the most appropriate person for that question. Do you know how many trucks?
I mean, the majority of them. But I mean, it's only one that doesn't have a flatbed.
But so pretty much, and every time it's a flatbed, you pretty much have to use the special equipment every time for a flatbed.
Can you repeat the question?
When it's a flatbed, you have to use the special equipment every time.
When you're dragging it up.
Well, do you ever have to not drag it up onto a flatbed?
No, whenever you use a flatbed, you always have to use this special equipment. There's no way around it.
All right, that's what I asked. Appreciate that actually helps explain your 70% number.
Can I give you?
I'm actually surprised it's not higher now.
Can I explain to clarify what he's saying?
Go ahead.
A flatbed tows 2 cars. So, in this situation, it's getting dragged up the bed. In that scenario, yes. Any dragging, any maneuvering, yes, on the bed. Now, if he would have towed another vehicle on the wheel lift, it wouldn't have needed the special equipment. So, flatbed tows 2 vehicles. So, on the wheel lift, it doesn't.
So in that case, the need for the use of special equipment was actually caused by your own internal logistics, not by the way the person parked, correct?
No. I mean, you have to put the vehicle on the bed first per manufacturer specs of a tow truck.
I don't think you understood my question. My question is, let's say I park somewhere, and let's say I actually know about towing. So let's say I park in a way you wouldn't need to drag me. But you happen to show up with a flatbed truck that doesn't have another car on it, so now you have to drag me. Isn't that on you? Because you're the one that showed up with the flatbed truck without another car?
Depending on the vehicle, because sometimes you have all-wheel drive, you have four-wheel drive.
Right, of course. But so basically, you have created your own need for special equipment based on the kind of equipment and what's on it that you show up with.
No, we don't create it. I mean, we tow for the city of Milwaukee as well. We do the same exact thing. So we don't create it. It's
I think anyone listening to this conversation understands my question, and we could debate the word create all night, but I think it's pretty clear what's going on here, and I don't think it's okay, but I think we need to explore changing the law to make. Given
the complaint of Mr. Bakami, forgive me if I pronounced it incorrectly, did you all look at the video of the actual tow to see that the special equipment was actually used?
The video? What?
I'm assuming it's video over that parking lot.
They show the picture, they don't show the video.
I heard reference to the picture of the car being there. What I'm asking is there video of the actual tow?
We've never seen
In
any video.
such a video, I would guess that you could see if he was using a special equipment or not. Given that a complaint was filed challenging whether or not special equipment was using, and given the fact that you brought pictures and a whole bunch of other stuff, what I'm saying is, did anybody look at the video to see if it could help bolster what you're saying? showing him using the special equipment? Or was that not even looked at?
Alderwoman, it wasn't, I understand your point, and I think it's a valid one. It wasn't looked at because we got this on Thursday. This toll happened December 11th. We would have to go to Walgreens and all the businesses surrounding that area, asking them, and they may or may not. And honestly, Alderwoman, I think, and that's why what I'm getting from you, and I think for future purposes, and maybe something my clients may have to look into, maybe a dash cam or something that positions, with a car to give a sense. Mr. Tarantino, I'm talking. So whenever possible, at least, we can sort of diffuse these types of situations. But for this particular circumstance, Alderwoman, no, we did not ask the businesses, the surrounding businesses, for a video to see if they captured the incident.
Dash cam on the truck.
Are there dash cams on any of the all towing vehicles?
There is video and audio-video cameras on the majority of the equipment.
Is there a reason, or was that looked at for December 11th, given the complaint from Mr. Bacone?
Yeah, after the gentleman spoke to Page, Michael Page, which was actually the manager handling this, he died of COVID January 1st. We knew nothing about this until Thursday. So, I mean, this was kind of just a quick run-through of what was going on.
A portion of the skates is actually under the tire that we can't see.
Yes, it
so
was
it's not
used.
placed side by, it's not placed next to it, right?
No.
You just didn't take a picture, and just, for posterity's sake. You didn't. All right. No further.
It's told us that the majority of their trucks are flatbeds, and that 69% of their tolls include a special use. I think this is something we do need, if at all possible, some resolution to legally. I do see this, though, Attorney McNally and Peter, as a little bit different. I understand your hesitation with, circumstance by circumstance, vehicle by vehicle, for whether or not special equipment could be utilized. Unfortunately, I don't have the benefit of the statute in front of me, but I think that's a little different than whether a flatbed truck could be utilized and whether or not you could charge the special fee in attachment with using the flatbed truck. To me, that's, and again, I don't have the benefit of the statute in front of me, that's a little more clear than some of the other parts of the statute. But I would ask Mr. McNally for a formal legal opinion from the city attorney's office on this question, because that could be huge. If almost all the trucks from All Towing, let alone any other towing company that we may not have in front of us right now, are flatbeds, and you have so many consumers being charged a special fee of $150, which, if the law is as Mr. Bacone interprets it, they shouldn't be charged. That's something we got to put an end to. I don't think we can leave that up in the air if there's an opportunity to get real clarification on that. So I would, at this time, Mr. McNally, I would ask for a formal legal opinion from the city attorney's office to at least get us started on really rectifying that part of the legal issue. Thank you.
Certainly.
I'd like that same information, of course. Mr. Bacone did post in the chat the relevant section, and I'm not sure, just as a layperson reading this, I'm not sure it's quite as clear as you're implying, Mr. Bacone. I'll read it aloud for everyone. It says, no charges may exceed the following total amounts. $150 for a vehicle removed using a flatbed, hook and chain, wheel lift, boom, or any other method. So that's the standard tow charge. Then you get the 25, then B is 25 for the storage, C is 35 for more storage. Now D is the key one. $150 for any other necessary and commercially reasonable charges relating to the use of special equipment in the removal or storage or both of the vehicle, and for any expenses incurred by the towing service relating to travel exceeding 20 miles. So it doesn't specifically say that no flatbed can ever also have a reasonable charge attached to it. It doesn't say that, Mr. Bacone, now that I'm reading it. But based on our specifics of this conversation, I don't think that having a special charge that's only needed, or special equipment that's only needed because of the kind of truck you showed up with, to me, that's not reasonable. Now, But the definition of reasonable, that's why lawyers make the big bucks, right? They get to fight over that. But anyway, that would be my best summary of it, and I appreciate you posting it, Mr. Was anything wrong there, Mr. Knox, in what I summarized?
No, I agree.
Okay. I'll say this, though. I would like, not just always, but every tow company to change their behavior on these special charges. We've been saying that for years. Now that we've drilled down to the details, I think there's no question, in my layperson's opinion, that the charges to Mr. Bacome were unreasonable. So I would ask you to stop charging $150 when the only reason you have to charge $150 is because you showed up with a flatbed. That would be my expectation. That's what I think would be reasonable based on a reasonable person's definition of reasonable.
Alderman Kovac, 2 quick points. Now I know why you spend an hour at Walgreens getting shampoo. 2, well, we would love to meet with you.
Sometimes one side of my head, and the other,
we would love to meet with you if you would take a meeting with us to discuss some of these things, because we think, it's going to take a village, and we want to, talk about these things and see if we can collaborate and move forward. So if you take a meeting with us, we'll have...
In lieu of a meeting, just stop doing special charges on your flatbed. That's the meeting. Stop it. And if you're still doing it, I won't be happy. And neither will Mr. Bacome, although he probably will not get towed again, but somebody else will.